Right, so let me set the context of what I want to say. I thought I'd start with the government, because they've been in the news again with regard to education. If you go on the Gov UK, or GovUK, as I call it, something similar to that, and you search for dyscalculia, these are the results. It's gone up from last year, when there weren't any, and there's now one. That's it. So really, what can I do to cap that in terms of giving you information? So dyscalculia apparently is a psychiatric disorder and could well affect your fitness to drive. I think it's not understanding what the speedometer says. Something like that. One of my things I harp on about is that how do you help these kids and what do you do? And the answer is you do good stuff. You don't do stuff that's exclusive to that particular group. You just do good stuff. And I'll try and explain what I mean by good stuff. When I moved from mainstream teaching, well, it was fairly successful, I think, to working with special needs kids, I realised I was actually pretty rubbish. And that's quite a shock when you've had 14 successful years. And it's learning how not to be rubbish with this population that I'm sharing with you now. So I think whatever you do to help the low achievers helps pretty much every other kid in your class to different levels according to their needs. This is a paper that's just come out, literally just come out. And you can see what the title is. This is, I think, 12-ish international speakers from all around, not all around the world, from a lot around the world, who've worked out an agenda of the research researchers ought to be doing on maths difficulties. That's what they've done. So it's just come out. And I was invited to write a comment on that from the perspective of dyscalculia and learning difficulties, which I've done. So that's in there as well. Okay, so just to show you I am almost up to date. Well, up to last week anyway. The thing is, there aren't any quick fixes. If you come across a quick fix, be wary. It's probably not going to last. The thing with maths is, it's got so many good things about it, but Einstein said this about anything. You can make stuff as simple as possible, but not simpler than that. And you've got to bear that in your mind as well. So what I want to do in my lessons is to keep making improvements in kids' learning. I want to chip away at the problem. And in terms of kids who are integrated into a mainstream classroom, I don't want them to fall any further behind, and I don't want to create more learning difficulties children, because quite often children become learning disabled in maths down to the way they're taught because of the curriculum, usually, and the fact that we have ministers who know so much about education and they share it with us. And I'm not looking for perfection, as I told my wife. About me, of course, because it's a tough thing to do, and you can only be disappointed, and that's something to watch. So I'm going to keep just rambling for a bit. So I want to find realistic ways of reducing difficulties in the classroom. So let's just sidestep for 1 second. My younger daughter has very, very significant special needs. And in amongst this great bundle of stuff is her short-term memory issues. And her short-term memory is 2. She's 26. It's 2. If she asks me a phone number and I am not concentrating and I give her the phone number in 3, she's had it. The second part of the many difficulties she has is an ability to go from totally calm to ballistic in about a tenth of a second. So I get very quick feedback. And it's a very good way of learning not to do stuff as well. And communication is sometimes as simple as that. And I love sometimes, because I've got a slightly strange sense of humour. And when I'm ordering stuff online, which I don't do very often, and they say, can you give me the long number on the car? And so I do. Straight off, no breaks. All 16 digits. And they say, oh, could you repeat that in chunks? People know strategies that help you communicate. Sometimes it's nice just to play with that. Okay. I think that what I've learned from what the group in Boston call the outliers, what I've learned from the outliers has just transformed the way I would teach and the way I did teach in that time. So, we've got kids in the classroom who have difficulties that we know about and kids who've got difficulties we don't know about. So it's about integration. So here you are, that's integration. That will probably cause palpitations in most people's minds, but even if it doesn't, a lot of people will think, do I care? So attitudes are all around us. I think what makes a difference is your attention to the little things. And a lot of my talk tonight is about the little things that count. And I'm old enough to remember Spike Mary. Okay. I think a lot of policymakers and the occasional educational minister forget the normal distribution. The normal distribution covers all sorts of things, like how big your feet are, like how long your short-term memory is, how tall you are, how much you weigh. It's just a force of nature. And they forget that. So here's the normal distribution. These, where are we doing now? Where's it gone? Over there are all the clever clocks, or whatever it is. Over here are the not very clever clocks. In the middle are the average kids. And most people are average. So most people have average sized feet. Some people have big feet. People have small feet. That's the way it is. Can't change it. Same with working memory, same with short-term memory, same with long-term memory. Though I'll add a little extra bit to that in a minute. I think this current government wants to cut out loans. And they're not going to pay much attention to them because there's not many rewards to be gained in working with that population. And that's rather sad. So I said I'd be mildly political. In actual fact, if Gove wants everyone to do A-level, we might as well cut out all those as well. And then we can just focus on the people that really matter, like the ones that can get A-level maths. You can't change nature. You can improve it a little bit by the way you teach and the way you draw the education out of people. Okay. Well, let me give a bit of context about the UK and education in maths. And were there some tests recently? No, I know. Couldn't miss it, could you? Are we good at maths? Is what the government's, all those initiatives, any good? Well, let's start with the OE. Oh, what's wrong with me little one? What's that? Oh, I don't know. OECD, big international study, and then some stuff from my own research. So, here's the OECD data, and these are lots of countries that are not us. I wish this would work. Oh, I think it's something to do. Can you see it?
Yes.
I can't. Okay. These are all countries that are pretty good. So, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Germany, Poland. Oh, there we are. That's us. And this is for literacy. So about 20%, according to this study, in the UK, have low literacy. God, I'm good. And I think that's what bonds us with the USA. Because they can't speak English either. Low numeracy, much higher percentages. Lots of other countries, Korea. I think that's South Korea, because we don't know what happens in the north. Slovak Republic, Flanders, brackets Belgium, because this isn't a survey on geography. And here we are again, down the bottom. So internationally, we're pretty poor, which is very worrying. Which means that a lot of the initiatives that have gone by haven't worked. So that's my point. So let's get a bit of specific data. This is, I have a book on diagnosis, maths difficulties and dyscalculia. Part of the several tests that are in there is a 15-minute sort of screen and maths test on computation. And it's standardised for different ages. So I thought I'd pick the 16 to 19 age group, which tallies with the OECD. And instead of just saying we're not good, let's look at some of the things we're not good at. So, how many of these kids, these are from all over the UK, how many of them know what 2 cubed is? Just over 2/3 of them know it, which means a third don't. That was a bit of fractions I snuck in there. What about that? When I designed my test, I used easy numbers like 2 and 3, and 3s, 2 and 5. Because what I wanted to do was to test the procedure, not the ability to do multiplication facts, which I will talk about shortly. Only a third of 16-year-olds can do that. What the hell are we doing? That is dreadful. This is quite a big sample. It's about 317 students from around the UK. And converting kilometres to metres, 45%. And there's one more. Dividing 6 by 0.5. This is not good. So my argument for introducing teaching that works for people with maths learning difficulties, I think is quite strong. That's my feeling anyway. So what's the prevalence of dyscalculia? Slight handicap here, because we haven't got a definition that's universally accepted yet. There are probably at least 2 reasons, of which I'll give you one. And that is that students are different. I do some radical stuff. There's such a range of them, with so many contributing difficulties at different levels. So it's very hard to define different things. Short-term memory, working memory, and long-term memory will be major contributors. Have no doubt. So, if you look at the research papers, there are less around on this specific issue at the moment. 5% are dyscalculic. There's a term used more in the States than here, mathematical learning difficulties, which obviously is not as severe, but that's considered to be at the bottom quarter, 25% of the population. But unfortunately in the UK, people who can't function with maths, I think, is much greater than 25%. There's lots of other evidence around for this. I'm not picking. I'm not cherry picking. There's lots of evidence that we're doing badly. Okay. So let's get down to some proper stuff now. Long-term mathematical memory. You must never say that. Have you come across Howard Gardner's multiple intelligences? Yeah? I will confess, my really low intelligence is directionality. I can get lost in a bathroom. I really can. Unfortunately, when I'm driving with my wife, I am inclined to tell her the directions, ignoring my disability, which I think is one way of dealing with it. Just keep in mind. How many of you are primary school teachers? Oh, that's quite a high percentage. Okay. Tough line. What percentage of 10-year-olds do not know all their times table facts? You have to shout out. This is participation. You have to shout out in an articulate way.
55.
50, thank you. I have 50 from the back. 70.
85.
85, it's going up all the time. Are they forgetting the more we speak? I asked this question, and have been doing it for some years now, and I get those sort of answers. But even if it was 50%, which was the most optimistic number of the night, that's a huge number. And since an education minister said she was going to sack any head teacher who didn't get that up to 100%, there's going to be a lot of career opportunities very soon. When I first started working with these students of mine, there were 12 is off, 13 some of them, I said, do some work, and I quickly spotted they didn't know their times tables. And I knew nothing. There was nothing to know in the 1980s about maths learning difficulties. You couldn't find anything. So I thought, I'll teach them. My dynamic personality and fascinating way of talking will win. So we did 5 minutes of times table stuff. We started every lesson. Now there's a little thing I need to say about that in a minute. Within a week, they hated me. You can tell that if you're a sensitive. And one man walked up to the wall on the last day and banged his forehead on the wall. And I thought, never seen rote learning techniques like that. This is very upsetting. So here's one little moral from this is, never start a lesson with stuff kids can't do. Like mental arithmetic, for example. Don't do that. Start a lesson with something they can do so that they can warm up. Yeah, it's quite important. Okay. What will happen if you start lessons with stuff kids can't do is they'll give up. Like your kids. So, alright, 78% of the kids can't do this stuff. You get this huge pressure on them to learn it. So what do? They give up. Motivation. So a lot of primary teachers here, sorry to focus on it, but it's relevant. At what age are you noticing enough kids giving up on maths for it to be an issue? What age do they start to give up? To the point where you think, The answer again I get from a massive sample by now, 7, 8, maybe 9. Obviously some will give up later, some will give up early. That's very, very early. And why do you give up on stuff? Usually it's because you can't do it. It's a very good reason to give up. More of that in a bit. So the teaching context. So I think a lot of the time maths is taught on the assumption that if we tell them, they'll learn it. So when I had my specialist school, I remember once interviewing people for a job, and this one guy, I said, what are you going to do? It's different for our population. How are you going to change your teaching methods? And he said, well, I guess I'm going to talk slower and louder. We asked a few more questions to be polite, because you don't want to destroy people's confidence. Or maybe as we were told to tell you, this is massively influential, and I'll say more about that. That's what it meant. the way we were taught, whether you want to admit it or not, will be very influential on the way you understand and do stuff. And it's hard to overcome it. But we'll talk about that more. Oh, sorry, that one is about, well, maybe we're told to tell it. If somebody from on high tells you what to do, ask them why, if you get the chance. Stupid question. See, when I started teaching, which was a long, long time ago, my first school job was in 1967, we didn't know much about how kids learned. Not really. And, we know a lot more now. The question is, do we do anything about it? This is a definition of rote learning. So I'm now going to talk about rote learning, or an explanation from the web. So you learn something by repeating it over and over and over again, saying the same thing and trying to remember how to say it fluently and fast. Fast is another issue. Doesn't help us to understand, it helps us remember. So you learn a poem, a song, and you learn by rote learning. I'm not against rote learning. It's got its place. But it's like a lot of things in life, there's a balance. And that normal distribution will pop up again, because there'll be some kids that are wonderful at rote learning, and some kids who are not. You have a class, they'll be mixed. You can't teach to the highest denominator. So you have to teach so as many people as possible can learn what you're doing. So, part of the gist of my talk tonight is to talk about the role of the learner in learning. It's a bit radical, but I think it's worth considering. So, having discovered that my learners found rote learning difficult to the point of physical harm, I decided I had to try and find something. Now, a mate of mine was doing some research for his PhD at the time, and he found a very, very powerful way of improving rote learning. He's still around, and it's called Arrow, and the guy's gone away. And Arrow is about using your own voice to learn. So you go out into a shop as a parent and buy the times tables with somebody famous singing them. It's better to use your own voice. You learn better from your own voice. Most people. Everything has to be most, not all. So if you want to learn something by rote, a very good strategy is to record it in your own voice. And these days with computers, life becomes much easier. See it, hear it. Keep repeating it in your own voice through headphones. Boring as hell, but that's what learning is about. It's not about being interesting, it's about being bored and learning stuff. So for a second, when you're working with kids, you ever see them sub-vocalising? Sometimes when you're talking to kids, not when they're natural to their brain, but if they're really focusing, they're going to. And I do it with friends, you know, if they're listening to one of my more complicated sentences, with three or more words, I can see them repeating it under their breath. And that sub-vocalising is very, very powerful. I do it these days when I meet people because I don't remember names anymore. So someone says, oh, hi, I'm Jill. No, they say, hi, I say, hi Jill, how are you, Jill? Oh, what do you do, Jill? Where do you live, Jill? And then 5 minutes later, how are you doing, Mary? It's life. So sub-vocalising is a very powerful way of learning stuff. But what we found was, we tried this and some other methods comparatively in my school with kids who couldn't learn their times tables, which was practically every one of them in this specialist school. We found that when it worked, my gosh, it worked well. And it was long-lasting. It was phenomenal. But it didn't work for everyone. And that's a very critical lesson to learn. very little you do will work for everyone. And it's just work. The question is, what percentage does it work for? And that varies from strategy to strategy. But one of the boys for whom it worked very well lived in the States, and when I went out, I worked in the States for a while, so I went and saw him. I said, "Hi, mate, how you doing? We're 7/8s." Because you've got to bring back the old school members. And he still knew. So it can last, but equally no back. So you need kind of a bank of resources of things to do, which is what I'm going to try and do with you today. So unfortunately, I'm going to quote a recent education minister. So I'm going back a couple of years here. Children may be falling behind their Chinese counterparts in maths because of the failure to learn times tables by heart. I love the depth of that analysis. It's perceptive. What's with this Chinese? You know, it's a different culture, it's a different world. In England, if you want to go out for supper in England and you're with your friends and you say, "Oh, I can't do maths very well," all your friends say, "Great, do you want some seconds?" No seconds. No, they come before thirds. You can't do that in Asian cultures. You can't confess to being bad. It's not culturally accepted. You have to know. So you can't compare cultures. It's not the same. And the normal distribution works in China as well. To think that it doesn't would be kind of biologically strange. This is a very important piece of research. So again, I'm trying to just sort of sneak some practical stuff in here. When you learn something for the first time, that learning is very dominant in your brain. This is research from a long time ago. So if I come up to a motorway island where I've been before and I've gone wrong before, it's very difficult to remember whether that was the wrong turn or the right turn. And I'm watching quite a few of you nodding because this happens. Huh? It's human nature. The first pathways that are set up are very dominant. So if a kid, when they're learning their times tables, learns that 7/8s are 54, like Stephen Byers did many years ago, it's very hard to inhibit that incorrect knowledge. So when you're teaching stuff to kids, stuff that really, really matters, you need to check straight away if they've got it right. And I always think that if this is another tip, if you set homework, you really ought to check the first two questions before the kids go home. Because if they go home and do a whole homework sheet wrong, you haven't half messed up their brain. So it's best to know that they can do it. They should go home and practice stuff that's right, not practice stuff that's wrong, because the brain doesn't at that stage know. So don't confuse the brain. Oh, because I'm a very strange person, I thought I'd explain what learning by heart means, where it comes from. So this is from the Jinxie Boo website. It seems to be due to mistaken analysis of anatomical functions made by the ancient Greeks and education ministers. The ancient Greeks believed that the heart, the most noticeable internal organ, was the seat of intelligence as well as love, and memory as well as emotion, and it was passed down through the ages, hence learned by heart. So you see, it's based on something with real anatomical validity. You also get things. I talk about learning times tables, and people sometimes, so this is in case anyone's thinking of doing this, put their hand up and say, "I learned them." And one person said to me once, "I learned them, my mother learned them, and my grandfather learned them." And I was tempted to say, "How genetically interesting." But I have to be polite. It's not an argument that's got much validity, except in that family, of course. So it worked for me, it won't do. Because people often say to me, "Well, we all learned them when we were at school." How do you know? Have you got the test papers? How do you know? We don't know. We just assume they did, because we did. Because we were clever. That's what he teaches. Have you ever read Daniel Kahneman's book, Thinking Fast and Slow? It's a penguin. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. A lot of it's about economics, and he's a Nobel Prize winner, but some of it is about thinking fast and slow. And he says, it doesn't matter what statistics you throw at people, it will not change the beliefs in their head. So if they think you can do it, you can say, look, all this evidence that says you can't, they're still going to think you can. Okay? Don't talk flies when I'm having fun. So back to the ministry. Learning tables up to times 12 times 12 by the end of the night. Rote learning is only one way to get started with long-term memory. So let me talk something practical and useful. This is from a major study in the USA. How people learn. It's a jolly good title. 3 key findings. So it's a big book, but it's only got 3 key findings. That's my title. Key finding number 2. To develop competence in any area of inquiry, students must have a deep foundation of factual knowledge. Come back for a second. But then B says, understand facts and ideas in the context of a conceptual framework and organise knowledge in ways that help people to. That's what you've got to do. So, patterns and generalisations. There's not much research, but there is some research to suggest that dyslexic kids are not good at generalising and finding patterns. And a lot of the teaching stuff we do, like getting kids to get round a table and find things out for themselves, it's a great idea. But if they find out the wrong thing, it's a bad idea. So if you're doing that, which is fine, you've got to whiz around like a little rocket to make sure they're not discovering the wrong thing. Because it's like my wife when I say guess, but I wanted to guess what I wanted to guess. It's no good her guessing the wrong thing. It's very bad. So, the question is, what is the deep foundation? Well, I could ask you, but I'm just conscious of my time here. Yeah. That's what kids, if you ask kids, what do they know in task tables? They'll say, I know my 2s, my 5s, my 10s. And the smart kids say, the 1s and the 0s. Because that's too long. I would be interested to know what percentage of the kids in class to give you that answer. Probably quite high. But if you know those and you're really, really automatic with them, that's a heck of a good start. But you've got to be really, really automatic with them. You've got to come out. Huh? I'm not normally one for that. But they have to. So they're very important. I think maths is a great subject because of B and C. I'm going to be careful with time. You see, in geography, let me ask you a question. What's the capital of France? Well, that was very good. James said, get some involvement. Okay, it's Paris, yes? Knowing that, can you use that to work out the capital of Bulgaria? No. So in maths, what's 5 out of 5? So what does that tell you about 5 out of 6? More. There's a bit of conceptual stuff in there. Maths is great because you can use what you know to work other stuff out. And that is something you should be doing because you know. Concepts, very important. It can be a bad subject because we don't make enough use of B and C. We hammer away at rote. And that's why it's a bad subject. You need to analyse the prerequisites of anything you teach. So what does the learner bring? You've got to know that. So I think 7 times 6 is up there for one of the hardest facts to remember. Right? I'm sorry to keep talking about my wife, but she's part of my life, and that's the way it is. When we first met, she said to me, I don't know what 7 6s are. Don't ask me why she said it. He's dating size. She said, I'm working out. I do 6 6s and add another 6. I said, darling, I love you. Because that's brilliant. And she's a highly successful, mega powerful lady. But if you know 5 6s, and you know 2 6s, and you know 1 6, and you understand what multiplication is, and understanding is a hugely powerful tool in education, you can chunk. One of our ministers was against chunking. 10's a chunk. It's a chunk of 10 ones, madam. 5 6s, 2 6s, come together. Try that, some of you kids. Because it works for 7 8s. Works for everything. Works for 7 8s as well. 40, 16, 56. Try it with your kids. It won't be instant, but try it. What you're teaching is partial products. You're teaching maths. Because why should 7 6s be 42, for goodness sake? What is it about 7x6 that makes 42? It's not necessarily rational. So, okay, try that. Oh, and 12 12s. Great strategy, that, isn't it? That's what I said, 144. Of course it was. 10 12s? 10 lots of 12? 2 lots of 12? Put them together? What have you got? So, breaking down, if the breakdown facts are automatic, is brilliant. So that's a long-term then tip. I've been whinging on about that for years, but it's very hard to get people to take it on board. They're so hooked on rote. But this is actually teaching you maths as well. And it's teaching you algebra. So grouping like terms. 12 C's. There we go. In the States, and you have to watch what happens in the States, because it will come here, unquestionably, nearly always does. They're now not calling number facts, they're calling them number combinations, because lots of kids work them out, rather than remembering. Research done quite some years ago, now, in the UK, found that the high achievers either know these facts or they work them out. The low achievers in maths neither remember them nor know how to work them out. So I'm trying to convince you that this is a good thing to do with your kids, So let's look at simple division, since I'm talking about understanding. I'm doing this. 72 divided by 3. I picked this up from a video you could buy, or you could buy, in W.H. Smith's by Personality. So, what this personality says, and I'll give you sort of a breakdown. 72 divided by 3. So let's write it like this. 3, 7, 2. Now, you've just turned that round. You can't do that with spelling, but we're going to do it here with that. So we turn it round. Then you say, how many 3's in 7? And then you say, I don't care. No, then you say, well, I know 2 3's are 6, I know 3 3's are 9. Where does this 7 come into it? So you're asking a difficult question. Well, let's imagine you get round that. You say, well, there are 2 3's in 6. 7 minus 6 is 1. It's very important. So, we write the 2 up here, wherever that is, and we have 1 left over. And we put it here, which is sort of nowhere, really. It's not with the 10s, but we know what it is. Yeah? And what you have to know, actually the person says this, that this 1 is in fact not a 1, I know I just said it was, but it's not actually a 1. It's a 10. See? You've learned this before. Where are the kids in all this? Okay, so it's a 10. Then we say, how many 3s in 12? So we're done. Okay. That's all about memory and understanding the language. Knowing how to divide numbers that aren't in the multiplication table. You can divide 6 by 3, but can you divide 7 by 3? But you don't practice that. Otherwise, you never stop. It takes forever. So, let me just give you a very visual way of division. Same question, but I'm going to divide by repeated subtraction, like you can multiply by repeated addition. And I'm going to do it very visually. So there's 72 squares there, and I'm going to take away 10 lots of 3. So that's my starting point. I could probably get another 10 out of there. Do you see what I'm doing? I'm giving you a visual representation of the calculation. Yeah? And then I'm going to take away 3 lots, 2 lots of 3, 2 lots of 3, bingo, I've done. That's your answer. It's a way that makes sense. You use key core multiples and you subtract them. That's repeated subtraction. Was that too fast? No? It's the same method, but it's made manageable by using stuff that kids know and explaining what division actually means. The first method, purely procedural, this one. John Hattie's book, Visible Learning, which I guess a lot of you have heard of, looked at the research on interventions, and of 138, Piagetian stuff came in second. So that going from the visual, or the concrete, to the symbolic is important. And that's going to help long-term memory. It has to have meaning if it's going to be remembered. It's like remembering names, you know? My wife's best friend is called Sylvia. For a long time I thought she was Sheila. There's nothing to distinguish between a person as to whether they'll be a Sheila or a Sylvia. It's entirely down to memory. Sheilas can look quite different. As can Sylvias. So if you've got a poor whatever working memory you've got, if it's distracted by some crack at the front, literally not, it will be less good. And, you know, we test working memory often in laboratory-type conditions. We don't test it in the classroom. There's a bit of background noise, isn't it? Yeah? Or when I'm in the middle of remembering something and my wife asks me something. Okay, did you all do it? I don't care what the answer is. Did you do it?
Yes.
Did you? Jolly good. Okay, do that. Do that. Do that. How many of you didn't do that in the 4 seconds I gave you? Very wise. Okay, I'll come back to that. This is fairly recent research, and what it says is people get highly anxious, who get highly anxious in maths, and they can do wonderful things in scanning the brain. The bit of the brain that lights up when you say to someone, "You're going to do a mental arithmetic," in that nice, relaxing way, is the same bit of the brain that lights up when you're anticipating physical harm. That's not, let me laugh. That is neurologically the case. So this is not imagined anxiety, this is real. So it's, for some kids it's like that. So okay, I don't know how you did this, because obviously I haven't been able to scan your brains. I think there's going to come a time in the not too distant future when kids will walk in the classroom and their brains will be scanned. And when they walk out, they'll be scanned again. If you haven't improved that brain scan, let me know what the future is for teaching. Okay, prerequisites. I'm talking about prerequisites. You need to know not just what the question is, but what does it ask of the child. One way of doing this is to visualise it as though you were writing it. And then you'll start with the what's. If you don't know what 8 add 4 is, you're going to think out. That's stretching the working memory. Okay? But let's say you do that. Oh, sorry. You get 12. And you put the little one on the top. That little one gets all over the place. It's here, there, and everywhere. Then you've got to add the 7 and the 9 and the 1. A lot of people will do that as it's presented. They won't add the 1 to the 9, because that requires reordering. And they'll get 17, and carry the 1, and they'll get 4. And they've got that answer 2, 7, 4, and they have to give it as 4, 7, 2. I didn't count how many steps there were there, but there's a lot. It is not unusual for people to have working memories of only 3 or 4. I worked with a teacher going for whatever that qualification is you have to do to become an art teacher. Well, that's what it is, yeah. You've got to get a good grade in maths. Picasso, he was focused on that, you know. Her working memory was 3. She's 30 odd. She's not going to improve now. So she can't do that. It's too many steps. End of story. And this is something that's very important to learn. But if your working memory is 4, and the question takes 5, you can't do it. That's a hard fact to take on board. But I didn't come here to make you feel cheerful. So, short-term memory. What was the question? Because that's the other thing. You've been doing all this stuff, you're halfway through. What's the question? Short-term memory does not store. It's no good doing this. Got that? It's gone. If it's gone, it's gone. Same with working memory. If it's gone, it's gone. My long-term memory, okay, sometimes I have to do a lot of this. Or, alternatively, use the iPad. You could do the question. How many of you did it that way? I'll just show you. Come on, be honest. There's none. Oh, come on, I don't believe you. All right, okay, I do believe you. I just have to say that. You could make that 100. Then add it. Then you need to know, what do I do now? And you have to take 2 away. Okay? So you get. It's a good question. Is the answer bigger or smaller? It's smaller, isn't it? Okay? Much less load on the working memory. There's a lot of stuff in maths education about teaching kids to be flexible as problem solvers. This is one of the very good reasons why you need to be flexible. Okay? I'll just go a little bit faster. So you take 2 away. I was assessing the 14-year-old recently, and I wanted to see what he did. And I showed him that, and I said, what do you reckon? He says, I just can't do it. And that's what you've got to avoid. He didn't know how to do it. And he wasn't going to get it wrong. And I'm not making you all get upset. We have, all of us, a fear of negative evaluation. This is a psychological concept. We don't want people to tell us you're no good. I mentioned this in terms of the evaluation forms as well. You get a massive amount of avoidance and withdrawal in maths. Particularly for these 16 and 17-year-olds who failed maths for the past 8, 9 years. Now they've got to do it because of their careers. That's massive from a motivation point of view. I found that in terms of no attempt, when I was looking at errors, there's some research quite a long time ago. These are dyslexics. The dyslexics are in green, okay? And you can see how many no attempts. They just look at it and say, I can't do it. No point in starting. For 604 divided by 10, nearly 40% didn't have a go. These are 11 to 13 year olds against a 5.8 in the mainstream. So this idea of not trying, and I've got more recent research on that from a bigger study I did. So, mental arithmetic. You've got to have those basic facts as quick as possible. So the long-term memory interacts. So if you don't know your timetable facts, you don't know that 8 plus 7 is 15, that's going to make the working memory load even more stretched. So it interlinks. So you've got to get strategies. There was a very famous book in the States about dyslexia decades ago called No Easy Answers. Sadly, the same applies to maths. There are no easy answers. So, what's that sequence up there? That sequence is up there because the art teacher I mentioned could add 100 and take off 1, could add 100 and take off 2, but she couldn't add up. She could add 100, but she couldn't take off 3. Highly intelligent, articulate person. So you never know what's going to work, because counting back 3 was too much for her working memory. These two workers, one from the Open University, one from the University of Warwick, say that asking learners to do tasks that require rapid feats of memory is cognitive abuse. And there was a conference on this recently. If you make kids do stuff quickly, that's not good, okay? Don't make people do stuff quickly. Not good, not a good idea. And on the research, big research study, 2000, having to work out answers quickly, out of 20 things that I know create anxiety, at secondary age level, that came in the top 5. Kids, all kids, not just kids with difficulties, doing stuff quickly. And this is from Italy, which you might guess from the names. If the computation becomes complex, then it's more affected by working memory. So they're saying the thing. You've got to give strategies. Okay? Now, working memory and anxiety, the more anxious you get, the poorer your working memory becomes. Very powerful research from the States. So anxiety takes away working memory capacity. And Skep from way back said that reflective ability, the ability to think, is most easily inhibited by anxiety. I was going to say something else on that, and I can't think of it right now, so I'll move on. Speed of processing has its own normal distribution. So that normal distribution is very important. Okay? So often people with difficulties in maths have a low and slow speed of processing. And if you want them to speed up, then it's the way it is. Okay? So you can improve it a bit. But you have to work with the child as he is, or as she is. A very famous American said that. Teach the subject as it is to the child as he is. And that's what we forget. Clock's saying we. Them's up there in Westminster. So if you're setting homework, set fewer examples for your kids with difficulties, but make sure they're representative of the experiences they're meant to have. So quite a lot of work to do in terms of setting up resources. This is I get all sorts of emails from all over the place. This is a psychologist talking about a 10-year-old. This kid's getting stressed in mental maths, becomes quite distressed at home, so the psychologist suggests he makes little jottings on paper, but he's not entirely reliant on memory, and the school can give him a bit of extra time. And the school have this great intervention. He must try his best. Don't say that. No, try your best. Try your best. Can you train working memory? That's what I wanted to get. Charles Yu, UCL, says at the moment, unlikely. There's no clear evidence that you can train it. Okay? So just bear that in mind. 2 workers at Oxford University, Teresina Nunes, Peter Bryant, are starting a big study this year to see if they can train it. But at the moment, they can't. So you've got to teach the strategies I've been, or something similar. Yeah, you can't practice working memory and make it better. Short-term memory is essential for communication. Just a bit of research to show you these are below average in maths. They've got poor working memory. Working memory is critical to doing maths. Even written maths, you use your working memory. Short-term memory, when it's gone, it's gone. So vocalising important. Dual tasking. When I'm testing working memory and short-term memory now in my home, if I've got the kid there, parents are always there, I have to have the parents there for lots of reasons. I say to the parents after I've done the test, just talk to yourself, between each other, and I'll do the test again. Go the results. So it's very interesting. I just thought you might like this. I love quirky stuff. Red Bull, this is nothing I've noticed. It gives you wings. Apparently there was a study. There's this belief that Red Bull improves your short-term memory. So when kids bring Red Bull into the classroom, they're doing it for academic reasons. Right? Just people reminded. Apparently there's no evidence. It increases your heart rate and your blood pressure. But there's other ways of doing that. So, not that way. Always repeat the first instruction. So at least they know where to start. Try and keep your instructions chunked into reasonable quantities. Don't give out too much information at one time. It won't handicap what you do very much. I've already mentioned what I do with credit cards and phone numbers. Try and put it in context if you can. You can't always do that. Patterns help you, You could remember 10 digits if it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. But if they were mixed up, you find it harder. So bear that in mind. Attention, repeat your first instruction. I did some research a while ago now on sequential short-term memory, remembering stuff in order. And it seemed to correlate with GCSE scores in mainstream kids, but not with kids in my school, largely because we don't ways of dealing with it. So, I'm going to finish off shortly now. We started a bit late, so I said I would go on a bit. A little bit about motivation. Key to motivation in maths, I think, is success. Meaningful success. Anything really is meaningful success. Otherwise, what's the point? You will have this problem of risk aversion. No? We all do it. If something we know we can't do, we're going to be judged, it's very hard to actually make yourself do it. Fear of negative evaluation is a big deal. It really is. And the whole affective domain. So, this again is from Hattie's book. The kid with good cognitive ability can do things, but it's the workers that will do. And you've got to get kids to want to do stuff. Not just enjoyment, I'm against maths being fun. That's over expectation. But successful you can do. And the way you feedback can make a difference as well. So how do we become meaningful success? I think is very important. In my school, which was very, very severe dyslexic, all in the first, second, massively dyslexic secondary school. Bob Bird, sadly, left us a couple of years ago, came and did a study on self-confidence. And what he found was that there was very little learned helplessness in the school. The kids were confident. Because we worked out. These were kids, We asked them, 80 kids in school, separately around, to spell dyslexia. They're all dyslexic in a dyslexic school. We've got 68 different spellings. This is a serious issue. some of the things they have to do. High degree of self-efficacy. This is critical. Feeling you're in control. An internal locus of control mattered. It was the whole school. We just kept the right way of running the school. That included things like sport as well, dealing with things. Leicester City, I think, must have had incredible attributional stuff. That's my theory. It's how you look at the successes and failures in your life. I can't do long on this, but I promise I'll say something about motivation. This is the work of a guy called Martin Seligman. And it's called Learned Optimism. It's brilliant. It's practical. I'm nothing against mindset. I think this is a broader and more applicable construct than mindset. And it's about how you explain things that go wrong or go right in your life. So we didn't let the kids get negative if we could possibly help it. We would challenge their negativity. We would watch them. They didn't get too much negativity at one time. Tasks that show that mistakes are okay. I love whiteboards, by the way, in maths. White, clean whiteboards. Brilliant. Because you'll watch kids who are unsure write in pencil and rub it out. Pencil, rub it out. Pencil, rub it out. So, just a bit. So you've got to control the rest. So Seligman said it's the way we attribute our causes. Positive attributional style, that's related to success. And we have to make sure the right attributions are available. So, okay, I'm winding down. 3 dimensions, pervasive. For me, a lot of teaching is about listening. Giving kids a chance for some dialogue. It's about listening. My life is about listening. I listen to people. It's not just what they say. It's how they say it, all sorts of things. Listening to how you vital part of communication. Shouldn't have to say that. So some people say nothing ever goes right for me. Or they'll say, just a bad day. Effectively. Like all things, you manage it in a sensible way. Pervasive. I can't learn my times table facts, I can't learn any maths. I think a version of that is pervasive in education. That maths reaches a stage where they say, I can't do it, I'm out of here, intellectually speaking. Whereas I'm not good at remembering the times tables, but I can work them out. There are ways of addressing that problem so that the kid doesn't feel a permanent failure. Permanence, they become helpless. There was a wonderful quote in the government thing about a girl saying, in English I can get on, because if the spelling's not right, I can still read it. But in maths, if I don't know the fact, I can't do anything. If you don't know, you don't know. Which is why it's good to be able to work things out. You believe bad events are temporary. And the thing that really gets up, I just heard something, is when kids say, I'm too stupid. I just think we failed if a kid says that. You're not too stupid, sunshine. We can help. It's just sad. I don't think it shouldn't happen. So, that I'm too stupid. I saw a 14-year-old, 13-year-old, lovely kid. He was self-harming in maths. He'd taken his compass and digging holes in his wrist. All his school reports said things like, he's getting good teaching, he should do better. He's got a really good maths teacher this year, and we were expecting more of him. Putting all the blame on the kid. If he's a really good maths teacher, he should be learning. That's the deal. That's not that simple. I'll just show you this very quickly. This is about pessimism. The half empty, half full. This is from How Long is a Piece of String. If you actually make this into maths, you can actually show that the situation is much worse than originally thought. And that's from How Long is a Piece of String. Brilliant. So Robbie reports I just mentioned. I also like transaction analysis. This I'm okay, you're okay. And it's about you as the teacher allowing the kid to think that they can talk with you. It's the same in communication. You analyse what they say. You can't overpraise a child, because if you do, they'll know, and then they'll start to discount your praise. So you've got to know your kids, okay? Smiles, strokes are real. Yeah? Otherwise you're in deep trouble. The way you do that. And you can do that to one kid. So some kids don't want to be made to feel clever. It's about using every chance you can to keep people motivated. I do it when I talk to people. I go, well, that's interesting. I'm lying. But it's about showing interest. Fancy that. I didn't realise that those steam engines had that many pistons. So you want people to be able to take risks. So not knowing your times tables will contribute to the risk taking. Mental arithmetic, why I picked on these things, will contribute to the risk taking, and it's very important. Bit of research. Kids that start behind generally stay behind. Gear is an American, fantastic book, and says lifelong consequences if you don't understand that when you come to school. You can put that right, but where you begin is critical, and you need to go back. So there's my principle. You should be able to look at this on the video. But I want empathetic classroom management to know how your kids learn and how they don't learn and adjust for it. Things like working memory, short-term memory, working memory. Don't ask kids stuff they can't do. You can find out the working memory, short-term memories of kids can do that. Should be part of the video. You've got to have a whole different, lots of ways of teaching, because they need different ways of learning. That's important as well. And you have to have methods that develop. So my methods for learning times tables develop maths. My method for division develops maths. So that's important. And you've got to deal. There's no point talking to kids if they don't understand you. And that includes your short-term memory, dealing with their short-term memory, setting tasks that are with it, setting tasks that are... Has it gone quiet? Setting tasks that are not, back into teaching mode, that are not within their working memory. Don't set them rote learning tasks that they're going to fail at. So that sort of ties up my title. And if you really want to know how I teach, there's some they have no site license. Those videos, they'll show you how I teach, because I haven't done that.